Steeler Nation, what is going on? Before we get to our season preview and prediction, I wanted to take a second and tell you about my sponsor, Clubhouse Cards. They gave me a sign for a giveaway to all the Steeler fans. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel before the end of July, and you'll be in the drawing for this sign. So this sign's awesome, man. It's got some of the Steeler legends on it. You see Jack Lambert. It's really, really cool sign. And it's completely free to anybody who subscribes. I'll do a drawing at the end of July, and we'll do it as a giveaway. So, thanks again, Clubhouse Cards, for the sponsor. And guys, please support this channel. We break down not only Steeler football, but high school football all around the nation, and just NFL coverage in general. So, please help subscribe and have a chance to win this awesome sign. Now let's get to the episode. What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. I am your host, Kevin Brumley, and I am joined by my co-host, John. John, how you doing?
Doing good. Talking about local hometown Steelers stuff.
I know, man. I'm pumped. I've had LaVon Kirkland on the show. I've had Bruce Gretkowski to break down this 2020 season.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk some more Steelers football. I love football in general, but when it comes to Steeler football, I can't get enough of it, man. Can't get enough. So Steeler Nation, the best fans in the world, I want to hear your prediction, okay? Drop your prediction in the comments. I'm curious what we think, man. Are we excited that Big Ben's coming back? Do we think this is the year if we make it back to the Super Bowl? I'm curious. Drop your predictions, subscribe. Check us out, man. So we look at last year. The Steelers finished 8-8, but that could be deceiving because our Hall of Fame quarterback essentially missed the entire season. When we look at additions, we didn't bring in a ton of guys. I think Wormley, was kind of an under the radar, trade for us. I really like what he's going to bring to the depth of the defensive line. Derek Watt, Eric Ebron was our biggest free agent signing. We tagged Bud Dupree. As far as departures, Nick Vannett, that's fine, gone. BJ Finney hurts our depth a little bit at line. He was probably going to be our starting left guard if he came back. Javon Hargraves, our biggest loss. He went and signed a monster contract out in Philly. Anthony Chickalo, Artie Burns, see you later, Artie. It was nice watching you get toasted. And Mark Barron is no longer with us. What do you think about the additions and departures?
I don't understand after last year how they didn't aggressively go get a better backup quarterback. That's the one thing that just I doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I understand Mason Rudolph, but wasn't last year kind of the test for him? And when they had to go to old Duck Hodges, wouldn't you think okay, maybe it's time to get another a different backup QB? I don't know. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing way more than I do, but it just seems like you'd want someone better than what they produced with last year.
Yeah, I mean, so Duck Hodges is a nice, story. He just doesn't have the arm talent to be an NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
You look at Mason Rudolph, he does have arm talent, but it seems like the game's moving 1,000 miles per hour to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going way too fast for him. Maybe, Colbert, Tomlin still believe that he's going to develop into, what they thought he could develop into. But as far as that goes, it would have been nice to, maybe kick the tires on an Andy Dalton, a Cam Newton, something like that. But they must have faith, and, I'm hoping they're right. And you know what? I'm hoping the backup quarterback doesn't play a snap this year. I'm hoping it's all Big Ben. But he is 38. He is coming off major surgery, so we'll have to see. As far as draft picks, with the first-round pick that we didn't have, but we did have, we got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Woohoo! Yeah. We got Claypool, Alex Highsmith, McFarland, Kevin Dotson. I like their pick for not having a first-round pick. I know we traded it for Minkah. I like the draft. I think it's solid. I don't think it's blow your mind great. But I think there's some players there that even could play their rookie year and step up and really help the team out. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I think if anyone could have a first-round pick for what's Minkah's, it's his third year. Trade a first round. If they you're going to draft Minkah with a first, who wouldn't take that? There's so many busts, and he's clearly very talented. So I think that trade 100% makes sense for them. But Yeah, I like the rest of their draft. McFarland, he's pretty small, and like so I'm hoping like they can get him the ball just because he's such an athlete. Just be like that speed back, but like they have a lot of talent in their backfield too. So just hopefully he can find his way onto the playing field. But yeah, I like their draft for the most part. It seems like the Steelers always are able to just find those guys that fit exactly into their scheme, or like it just seems like their draft always just lines up with exactly what they need.
Yeah, I'm curious what, like, from Chase Claypool, I'm curious what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of essentially like almost a tight end who plays receiver because he's so big. Doesn't really run routes per se. You know, he's pretty raw as far as that goes. So I'm kind of curious how he'll develop, you know, with the other guys. He is extremely physical, man. We've seen him in run blocking highlights, just pancaking dudes, looking like a grown man against children. You know, is Highsmith the Bud Dupree replacement? You know, I personally, as a Steelers fan, like Bud Dupree, but I don't want to see Bud Dupree get, you know, 15 mil a year. I don't think it's a good investment. Like you said, McFarland's that different kind of change of pace, home run hitting back, and I actually really like the Kevin Dotson pick. I feel like he's one of those dudes who like is like a Ramon Foster.
Mm.
You know, he might not get the love, but you're gonna like him when he's on your team. So, what are your thoughts about the Steelers roster?
I mean, I think their defense. I'd imagine it's going to get even better. It was probably easily top 3 defense last year. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't take a step forward. I mean, it's Devin Bush's second year, and Minka Fitzpatrick will have a off season with the Steelers. I mean, I think like Steven Nelson, like in their secondary is gonna step. I think like I mean he stepped up last year. Like I mean, I didn't really know who he was until last year, and then I was like, oh man, this guy's killing it. Who is this? And I mean, T.J. Watt he was like the highest graded pass rusher on like PFF, I think. So I mean, I don't see why their defense doesn't take another step forward and get even better this year. I mean, I mean, for the roster, their defense is definitely a strong point, which is I think the best reason why they had 8 wins last year.
So, you know, looking at it, you know, the defense, now Minka has a full year under his belt in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know, Bush is going to go into his second year. The game's slowing down for him. You know, we forget that one of the best defensive ends in the league, Tua, was out almost all season last year. We're getting him back. I mean, this defense has a chance to be something really special. And that helps Ben out being 38 years old is we don't need Ben to lead the league in passing anymore. If he can move the chains, you know, put up somewhere between that 20 to, you know, 24 points a game, that should be enough. Just controlling the ball. This, like I said, this defense could be something really special. You know, my only kind of concern about the roster is at linebacker. Injury could hurt us because we don't have a ton of depth at linebacker. We have some guys that we think can play, but we don't really have. There's a lot of question marks there, I should say, at backup linebacker. So that is my only kind of semi concern about the roster. Do you have any big questions about the Steelers roster, or just big questions about the Steelers in general? I should say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just think, I mean, I know everyone's like the hype train for Deontay Johnson's going crazy right now. And I kind of stepped off of it. I don't know what it is, but I don't like their offensive weapons a whole lot. I mean, I like Juju. I think he's good. I mean, I don't think he's going to be one of those upper tier, elite wide receivers. I think he's going to be he'll be a good pro and everything, just never be like an all pro receiver. I mean, who knows? Hopefully I'm wrong. I like Juju, but I don't know. Their offensive weapons, I think, could be stronger. I mean, James Conner, we've kind of seen him get beat up a lot. So I think that'll be the hardest thing. But, I mean, with Ben, I mean, their offense is clearly going to look even better this year. So, maybe I'm just going off of last year, off my eyes, and probably just deceiving me a little bit because of the lackluster QB play.
Yeah, and I get that. I love Deontay Johnson, man. And I honestly feel like, to make a little bit of a bold prediction, I feel like he'll be the Steelers' wide receiver leader. I'm not saying he's going to lead every statistical category, but I feel like he's going to be the best receiver in Pittsburgh this coming year. I think he's a special, type player, and I think he's different than what all the other wide receivers do. You know, you look at James Washington, you look at Claypool, you look at Juju, Ebron, Vance McDonald, they're all extremely physical. The Steelers have the most physical tight ends receivers in the NFL, bar none. You know, much what the Ravens are doing in the run game, the Steelers kind of doubled down with physicality in that wide receiver position. So Deontay Johnson's a little bit different. So I think we could see him catching a lot of, screens and bunch formations, reverses, catching slants, and with blocking down the field. I think he's going to spring some stuff. And plus, he's got wiggle, man. He's got those burners. He can put it up over the top. So I feel like he's going to just bring a different element to that Steelers offense. But my biggest question is, what Big Ben will we see? What percentage of Big Ben do you think we will see? And honestly, it kind of boils down to what percentage do we need from Big Ben? You take the Big Ben pinnacle, 100% Big Ben. If we get 75% of Big Ben, I think that's enough. I think that's enough to win a Super Bowl. Like that's, I don't think we need, the Hall of Fame, throwing for 5,000 yards Big Ben.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Super Bowls they won. And if you compare this defense to the defense back then, I mean, I'd say this one's better. And then Big Ben in the Super Bowl played like trash. So, I mean, I think you're right. If you did get 75% with this defense, you could easily make a deep run into the playoffs.
Oh, I love it, man. So how do you think the Steelers stack up in the AFC North?
Yeah, I mean, I think they compete. I think that they can be really competitive with the Ravens this year. I mean, I don't think they take the top spot, but I think that it'll come down close, and that, I mean, maybe it'll be the last couple games that the winner of the division's decided, just because I think that they'll have a good season this year.
And I'm with you 100%. I don't think they need to win the division by any means. They're a veteran team. They can go on the road and win a playoff game. So I don't, it's nice to have home field advantage. It'd be awesome to have home field throughout the playoffs. But I don't think it's going to be their main concern. Health is going to be the biggest concern of keeping, Ben healthy, keeping that defense healthy. And if we get, second in the AFC North and we get a third seed, something like that. Well, actually, we technically couldn't get a third seed because we wouldn't win the division. But, we can go in the wild card and blow things up, So it's definitely going to be interesting. And that kind of brings me to my season prediction. What do you think the Steelers are going to finish?
I was back and forth between the two. I at first had 10-6, but then I was looking, I was like, how can I only give them 2 more wins? Like, I feel like Big Ben, compared to the QBs last year, has to be more than 2 wins. So I bumped it up to 11-5. But then I thought it was too close to the Ravens at 12-4, but I left it 11-5.
Okay. That's funny you say that because I have 10-6 or 11-5 for my prediction. I'm going to go with 10-6. And I'm just going with a standpoint of the one bad thing about the Steelers, and they do it every year, is they lose trap games. So you have to take that in consideration. There's going to be a game or two that we lose this season that we shouldn't lose. So with that being said, I'm cool with 10-6, man. 11-5 would be great, but I honestly don't think even 11-5 would be enough to win this division because the Ravens are stacked. But we can beat the Ravens. It's constantly a close game. Very rarely do you see a blowout in those games. So I'm cool with it. Make it to the dance, and then we do our thing in the playoffs. Do you have any parting shots?
So I kind of have 2. My first one is the Steelers have just stayed true to having that, like, one back, the main running back. Do you think it's almost time for them to go more of a running back by committee?
I do know Mike Tomlin hates running back by committee.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm a fan of when you have kind of a bunch of good backs, but no like great backs.
Mm-hmm.
You go with the hot hand. I think whoever, if James Conner starts off the game and is killing it, James Conner gets 25 carries that game.
That's fair.
If James Conner comes out the first drive or two and struggles, maybe fumbles the ball, next guy up. That's the Steelers mentality, next man up.
Yeah, I think that's like the way I would lean too, just because we've seen, I mean, with Le'Veon, they just ran him gun the ball so much, which, I mean, how could you not? But then he had injury problems. And then now with James Conner, they kind of did the same thing. And then he had injury problems. Like, is that like the fact that they're just carrying the ball and handling the ball so much and maybe just spelling them a little bit more could avoid that? I don't know. But my other hot take is I think Big Ben will have a phenomenal year this year only because he'll be well rested. Because did you see that he got help and said he had a porn addiction? So my thought process is his elbow will be well rested from taking time off of the porn addiction, and so he's gonna have a phenomenal year this year.
So my parting shot is about Big Ben too. And it's a question. So is Big Ben a top 10 quarterback of all time? So I feel like if you would ask experts, they would say no. But let me read off some stats to you. Of all time, he's 8th in yards. He's 9th in touchdowns. He's 12th in completion percentage. He's 6th in fourth quarter comebacks. He's 6th all time in wins. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. Of the most winning quarterbacks of all time, there's only 4 quarterbacks to win 20 more games than they lost on the road. And that is Brady, Manning, Montana, Roethlisberger. So that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, that's a great group of QBs to be in. Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely can make a case at the end of his career to be in that top 10. I mean, he has been like lucky. I don't know if it's lucky or not, but I mean, the Steelers have always had pretty much a great team around him. But I mean, yeah, he's been solid. I mean, that's why they haven't really had any down years in his career.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, they've almost underachieved some years because the team has been so good, and just a few hiccups here and there of those trap games, and so it's going to be interesting. But like I said, Steeler Nation, best fans in the world. If you guys like the episode, click like, click subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.